coming out on X, illuminating the networks of affiliation associated with this latest Epstein file release. Just mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
And it is just like, we can sit here and bitch and whine saying, oh, they didn't release that, or blah blah blah. This is redacted. All that's true, but still, the impact of that information, and we're still getting to the bottom of it.
It's completely changed most people's narrative of what happened. Like, we had this sort of vague understanding, but when you see in the email, like, clear evidence that they're talking about children
in pretty obscene ways,
horrifying ways. So that was the thing that, like, even when I talked to Mike Benz about that, he was sort of incredulous about that. It's like, I don't think they would use children. It just doesn't make any sense if it got caught. But it just seems like,
if Mike Benz was incredulous,
I know,
that's pretty big.
I just don't think we really knew until we saw those files come out.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, well, there's no denying it now. My position on it is completely shifted. I thought there's probably some really sick people that have an appetite for that, but I hadn't seen any real evidence for it until these files. And now I'm like, oh, this is demonic. This is clearly demonic.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. I'm somebody who was raised a Christian and went to Bible school and that kind of stuff as a kid, and youth groups, and then growing up in Central Coast of California, let's say, veered in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But the experiences that we've encountered over the last half a dozen years, it's hard to come up with a language to express what we're observing in the world other than the language of theology.
Well, demonic by action. So whether or not demons exist, if they did exist, that is how they would behave. They would prey on children and torture children. And there was the one where there was a suggestion when a child was praying to Jesus that, like, there was a joke that someone should dress up like Jesus. Did you see that one,
no,
Jamie?
I'm not watching this stuff.
I don't even want to.
Yeah.
I don't even want. People send it to me, and I go, okay, because I'm, for the most part, off social media. But every now and then, someone will send me something that I have to look at. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And these are emails back and forth. There's one of them where Epstein says, I enjoyed the torture video. There's these references to pizza, a lot of references to pizza that are 100% some kind of a code.
Yeah.
And then it brings you back to Pizzagate.
Yeah.
And which was widely dismissed. Everybody's like, oh, this is a bunch of kooks. Here it is. She said she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed. She knows that Jesus watches over her, and he helped save her life. And then he writes, whoops. And then in response, Jeffrey Epstein says, you should dress up as him when you see her.
It is dark.
You should dress up like Jesus when you see her. What the fuck?
And well, look at the
You're
line.
talking about a little kid
Look at the line. Look at the line
Jesus.
above it. How am I supposed to interpret "I'm coming" trick?
The OH Jesus, I'm coming trick.
It's just the whole thing. But so we.
Yo,
see
Mike,
this
what up,
darkness.
Michael?
It involves
What is this stream? It's RuneScape, brother.
leaders in academia, in science, in industry, in politics.
Yeah.
And it just, I remember a point in this arc of the last 6 years where a film crew came onto my farm and wanted to shoot some segments. And they were talking this, and frankly, I thought it was crazy talk. I kind of smiled and tried to be civil and nice, not contradict them, about the New World Order. And then along comes, then my wife one day says, hey, you ought to look at this book from Klaus Schwab. It's called the New World Order. Like, what?
I mean, he was just saying it out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, the World Economic Forum had those ads where they were saying, you will own nothing and
Yeah.
you will be happy.
Yeah. And it goes back to the current King of England was the guy that kind of launched that. He was the first one to be really talking about that you can, if you can use your favorite AI and track it down yourself. I prefer not to use Google these days to try to find stuff, but we see vertical after vertical after vertical after vertical where information has been crafted and manipulated, and these same tools of delegitimization, of a promotion.
Hunter rumor completed.
Messages that you are a conspiracy theorist, or that you are controlled opposition is another favorite one. A lot of this was pioneered in the 60s by the FBI against the various protest movements, and you can go back and track that. Okay, the narrative of being a collaborator surreptitiously is called badjacketing, and it has its own language and protocols for how to do this to people, to divide movements. We're in this. I mean, in a way, it's kind of a glorious moment where we're having a huge amount of social pressures coming together in this moment in time that you and I happen to live in. How fantastic is that? To be at a point in time where there is so much change, there's so much social interaction and pressure and competition between these different philosophies, and we're swimming in it. As somebody who writes on a daily basis these essays on Substack, because that's how I make my living now, because I can't do what I used to do. It's you're a kid in a candy shop. There's so much corruption. There's so much falsehood being promoted. There's so much of this manipulation of reality. And so if you're in the business of trying to help people to make sense out of that, which is kind of what I do now for a living, it's, I wake up every morning. I get the feedback, how do you come up with all these ideas? I'm like, how do you not? All you got to do is keep your eyes open.
Yeah, it's not hard to search anymore.
This is the secret to how I balance 2 full-time jobs. And you can do it too. My day job still comes first.
So apparently CoffeeZilla has been one of the only other people that's been making very consistent videos about this, and we're going to take a look at it. Here we go. What will be the end of this? Nobody goes to jail, no consequences, a few people get embarrassed and resign, and then business as usual. And then in 5 years from now, people will think that this is a conspiracy theory again.
I am increasingly disgusted by the way this is all a big joke to liars like Howard Lutnick, who deceived the American public about the status of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
That guy was there. I wasn't going.
Now he testifies under oath that he actually went to the island of the creep and brought his kids.
We had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children.
Nevertheless, every time Epstein is brought up, this guy can't stop chuckling. Here's Lutnick laughing again when Trump is addressing a question about Epstein.
I don't think this is fair. This guy laughs at everything Trump says. Trump could say banana and he'd be laughing his ass off. I don't think this is because of Epstein. I think it's just because that's what he does.
To talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation.
I don't know. I could ask you that question.
He thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever heard. And maybe
to be fair, Trump didn't even say that. Okay, that's
because they really think we are buying it. Maybe it's because they think, hey, we're just going to get away with this. We can just keep the lies are so brazen.
Well, they do get away with it. How's Logan Paul's Crypto Zoo doing?
Audacious, so in your face, that it is actually funny to them. And you know what? I have to agree that the way the FBI and DOJ have been treating this is a joke. Because we just talked to a congressman who passed the Epstein Transparency Act. As part of it, the DOJ was supposed to release all the Epstein files with no redactions except for survivors.
Definitely.
That didn't happen. Several of the survivors' names were left unredacted, and several of the perpetrators' names were left redacted.
This is supposed to be like, it's like opposite day, right?
That was sent by the victims' lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. The title of this one is Child Trafficking. Co-conspirators, fully redacted.
But in response to criticism that they had over-redacted, they said, hey, we're so transparent, we're going to let you guys come and see the unredacted files to the congressman. The problem is, guess what happened when those congressmen showed up? The unredacted files, many of them
were still redacted.
Redacted underneath the redaction. There were 2 layers of redactions. By the time the DOJ got them, they were already redacted. So what they're looking at is an unredacted, redacted copy of the Epstein files. This is at the same time that the FBI has a government project to build a next-generation redaction tool where they claim they need multi-layer redaction management. And you can see it here where Representative talks about getting to see the, quote, unredacted files.
Yes.
He says the search function didn't actually work. Half the stuff I was looking for was still redacted. We couldn't write on files we brought in. We shared 4 computers for 435 members of Congress. So what?
Okay, to be fair, I could see this as just the government being incompetent. This seems like a government solution. Yeah, definitely.
What is this actually? This is transparency theater. This is not real transparency. It is actually a joke. Here's another joke.
They don't give a shit about it at all.
FBI just concluded, again, that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't running a ring for powerful men. But when the public was asked about this just the other day,
everybody
94%
thinks it's true.
believe that he was. So obviously there's a huge gap between what the FBI says they believe and what the public, who has now at this point seen most of the same files, say they believe. If anything, the FBI, by definition, would have access to more evidence. And yet, with the files that we already do have, 94% of the public say, yeah, Epstein obviously was trafficking, but the FBI, of course, isn't investigating new parties. They say there's no evidence for it.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files.
In the case file.
He's adding in that we have in the case file. These are 2 qualifying statements that reduce the scope of the accuracy of what his statement is. And he's doing that in order to justify not naming anybody else.
Okay, even if you believe what he says, after the revelation, that the FBI themselves thought there were 4 co-conspirators in the previous draft indictment. They later said they thought they had 10
even the Hunter rumor completed.
Co-conspirators. Now you're supposed to believe, no women were trafficked to any of these people.
Wow.
Epstein was working alone.
It's a mystery.
It might be surprising to learn then that the DOJ and FBI under Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, who ran on the idea of releasing these files, have not talked to people who say they were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein. This was brought out
insane.
2 different times. I want to watch both of them with you because it's astonishing to hear someone say, we have no credible evidence on other perpetrators, only to learn
that they didn't talk to the victims.
Never talked to the women who were allegedly trafficked.
You guys need to see, like, this is it's actually crazy how bad faith these people are. It's unreal. The files are already wiped before they got in office. Oh, I think the files have been, censored, 3 or 4 times.
14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to
Is
invite
the
all
answer yes or
investigative
no
leads.
to whether or not you met with these women who were abused and
Any insinuation by you or any
What
people
is
on
the-
your
Just,
side
yeah, because the answer's no.
that I am not manhunting child traffickers, just look at the
Mr.
stats.
Patel.
And you talk
Mr.
about
Chairman,
cover-ups, man.
Mr. Chairman,
you
this
talk
is
about
my time,
cover-ups.
and
I'm going to stop it there. It just devolves. He refuses
Yeah.
to answer the question of...
She got him. The thing is that, like, it is so embarrassing to see
Did
this
you
happen.
actually meet with these women? Luckily for us, some of those same people later showed up at
The Pam
another
Bondi
hearing,
one, right?
this
Yeah.
time in a hearing with Pam Bondi.
Oh, boy.
survivors in the room. If you are willing, please stand.
Surprised there's so few of them.
And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice.
Oh, wow.
Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
Yeah, it's honestly shocking
How about
to see.
that?
There's these people who are claiming to be victims of Epstein. The DOJ and FBI have consistently said, look, we want to take all available evidence. We just need the evidence.
And we have continuously and publicly asked for the public to come forward with more information. If there is, we'll look at it.
And then it's
So
like...
wait, so they're asking the public to come forward with information, but they also don't want to interview people that were victims? Like, guys, this is seeming a little bit weird.
Well, did you interview
What's
these
going on
people
with
who say
this?
they have evidence? Well, no, actually, we didn't. This comes up again.
Now, would the survivors and victims who are here please stand up one more time? Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and evidence? None.
Wow.
And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence?
Yep,
All
no
of them.
surprise.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what can you even say to that? This is a DOJ. This is an FBI that claims to be interested in getting to the bottom of the Epstein files, except when actually asked, they cover up, they redact, and they don't ask for victim testimony or evidence. I mean,
this is what they do, right? Is because it is bad by design. They're doing it wrong on purpose, and they're doing it wrong in order to complicate things. That's what I think's happening.
How can you possibly say you've reached a conclusion as to an investigation when you literally haven't talked to the people who would be a victim of said investigation? Furthermore, how can Kash Patel say under oath, without perjuring himself, that there was no credible evidence that Epstein trafficked to anyone else, when internal emails to 710 Director's Call, it says approximately 4 to 5 victims accused other adult men of abusing them. There was not enough evidence to federally charge these individuals, so the cases were referred to local law enforcement. Again, there's a huge difference between there's no credible evidence.
There is no credible information. None.
And we couldn't pull charges. I mean, that's a totally different thing. And in that case, isn't the whole point to investigate that? Isn't the whole point to call more of the people saying they have evidence? Isn't that your job? How can the FBI, the DOJ, conclude definitively that Epstein wasn't trafficking to anyone when Jess Staley, during a UK court hearing in 2025, admitted to having with a member of Epstein's staff? He, of course, described it as consensual. But internally within the Epstein files, there's accusations against Jess Staley. One of the files alleges that
this is actually quite common, and I think that some people are getting confused by this because there's some instances where you have people who are actually victims, but they were also co-conspirators. So they were groomed by Epstein, and then once they got old enough, they became the groomers. So whenever you look at it, and you're hearing that like it's one or the other, sometimes it's not one or the other, it's both.
Victim was left with body marks after an interaction with the former Barclays boss. The disgusting Mr. Staley, if anyone ever calls me Tinkerbell again, I will lose my mind. Which I know sounds weird that Jess Staley would allegedly refer to a girl as some type of like Disney character or cartoon character.
Tinkerbell's pretty small, huh?
But this is
Yeah, it's
consistent
a little
with
interesting.
email exchanges. Jess Staley says, that was fun to Jeffrey Epstein. Say hi to Snow White. What character would you like next? Epstein later asks.
the
To
fuck?
which Staley replied, Beauty and the Beast. Epstein responded, well, one side is available.
It's Bella, right? Right? It's her, isn't it? Like I hope so. No, the oh no, oh no!
I'm not saying these emails would be enough to charge Jess Staley, but to investigate,
Yeah.
almost certainly. It's definitely unconscionable to say there's zero evidence of Epstein trafficking to anyone.
There is no credible information. None.
How can that possibly be true?
There's no credible information. That's not even like, again, that's not enough of a preponderance of evidence to investigate, but none? Zero? I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? Why would you even say that?
When some of your files say 4 or 5 victims accused other men. So it's just totally insane to me the way we are all treating this, where the people in power whose job it is to hold these people accountable, they want to laugh about it, they want to joke, they want you to smile about the whole thing. This actually came to a head when one reporter asked about the survivors.
But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about.
Gotten
You are
justice.
the worst reporter. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile
Well,
on
I'm
your
asking
face.
you about survivors of Jeffrey Epstein,
You know why
Mr.
you're not
President.
smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth.
It's honestly baffling. I mean, how are we supposed to act during the Epstein files when we hear about these horrific stories? Are we all supposed to be like Howard Lutnick, just guffawing?
To be fair, Scott Bassett was also smiling about it too. Yeah, they thought this shit was hilarious.
Laughing it up? How are we supposed
Oh
to
my
treat
God.
this travesty of justice? And again, I want to restate for the millionth time, this is not political, no matter how much the DOJ and FBI try to argue that it is. The person we're about to watch questioning Pam Bondi is a Republican. But anytime you say anything negative about the Epstein file handling, which was run on by this administration, they either bounce to, well, you must hate Trump, or the Democrats didn't do it last time, so we shouldn't be expected to do anything either. And you're about to see more of that.
Within 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's obviously they're both wrong. You know, like I don't even see how this is a debate. It shouldn't even be a debate. What's going on? You've had the files for 10 years. Why do you think they hadn't already investigated and done shit from back then? What do you mean, why do I think that? It's because people that were powerful controlled the decision of doing that, and they decided not to do it. Obviously, that's the reason why. Like, why would you even ask that? It's very clear that's the reason for why it didn't happen. Duh.
Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
That's right. That's right.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed
40
as a co-
It's multiple redactions.
700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome.
Literally, we
What
caught
a
you guys
retard.
redacting a co-conspirator's name. I mean, there's a lot more than that they redacted, but it's like, for them to say, oh, what? It was just one.
I don't like that. By the way, I don't like the questioning format that they do in Congress where you can run out the clock. I don't like that. It's structured around bad faith behavior.
Name, we put it up when you said so. When you caught us on our 4 computers we allowed you to use with redactions on top of redactions. And Pam Bondi's performance here was so bad that at one point she's being asked about, like, are you bringing any more
She
indictments?
brings up the stock market.
Are you investigating anyone?
Yeah.
And she jumps back to some pretty bizarre talking points.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want
I say it again. Back in the day, whenever we did rated battlegrounds like RBGs, there was a rule that my my RBG leader had, and it was that we would always attack the healer that was a girl first, regardless of what class that they were playing or regardless of their gear, because the assumption was that women would crack under the pressure. I got Grand Marshal that season. That's the highest rank. It's crazy how that happens.
With Asana, you can manage any kind of work. Say your team is responsible for project intake from other departments. Maybe your team is in charge of campaign management for multiple initiatives. Or your team works on strategic planning. Or literally anything else.
Answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
And none of them,
Crazy. Really
none
is.
of them
What are the odds of that?
asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about
Would you ban
Jeffrey
bonding? I would.
Epstein.
You'd get rid of her.
How
You'd get rid of
ironic
her.
is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock
Hunter
trader,
rumor
as I hear,
completed.
Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000.
This is a legendary crash out, by the way. This in any real normal world, this would be a career-ending crash out that by the end of the day she was fired.
And the
it should be.
NASDAQ smashing
Absolutely
records.
should be.
Americans 401k.
She's right though. She's not right. Like the stock market has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't. Like you interviewing and dealing with the survivors, redacting things that shouldn't be redacted on the Epstein files, and the stock market. If this is a Venn diagram, they're two separate circles. They don't have anything to do with each other. Jerry
Retirement
Epstein.
savings
That's right.
are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We
Yeah.
should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just
That's the
asked.
question.
Are
Yeah.
you kidding?
No, I do want to know,
yeah,
what does
I'm
the
actually
Dow have
curious.
to do with Jeffrey Epstein victims?
Yeah.
I truly don't understand.
Yeah, are
that.
you serious?
So yeah, this whole thing was a complete
Oh my god, is this like a bore? Oh my god.
disaster of a meltdown.
Yeah, it is.
They're treating it as an absolute joke, and they criticize you if you don't smile like Howard
Yeah.
Lutnick when he's caught lying about the Epstein files. And while I can't personally muster that kind of energy, I do want to talk about some more of the revelations in the Epstein file. Like the most noteworthy is that Trump called the Palm Beach Police Department immediately after Epstein was arrested, according to a police chief that was interviewed in 2019. He says back when he arrested Epstein the first time, Trump called him and said, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Saying
fucking based. Absolutely fucking based.
About Maxwell, she's evil, and to focus on her, according to the police chief,
As I said, nobody liked that bitch.
Trump was one of the first people to call. Julie K. Brown
Man.
said that when Trump called the chief, it was after the Epstein story became public when Epstein was arrested.
Yep.
This actually goes a long way to explain Speaker Mike Johnson's previous comments that Trump blew the whistle to the FBI to stop
I think
Epstein.
that makes sense.
He's an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down.
It's obvious that he probably just misunderstood that it was an FBI interview of a police chief, and that at the time it was the Palm Beach Police Department handling that case. And I think that even for the people who say, okay, that's just because they had a falling out over real estate or anything like that, I think it undoubtedly is a good look for Donald Trump, and clearly something.
It is. It obviously makes him look good for him to call out and say, yeah, it's good that you're getting rid of this guy, and also look at the other person that's involved because they're bad too. Like, it obviously makes him look good.
Something they're going to hang
Like,
on
yeah,
to as
of course.
more of these files get released. We also have something that kind of goes the other way. Remember the Wall Street Journal birthday book story, which Trump said is absolutely false?
You
and
trying to look
suing
good with
over.
shit,
We
fam?
have a
Yeah, of course.
B-Day book update sent in 2002 when the book was supposedly drafted. And we see LM for blank, George Mitchell, Donald Trump, Henry Jarecki, and Leon Black, which definitely undermines his case, defamation case, against the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, boy.
I think another interesting component of this was realizing that Jeffrey Epstein was secretly buying motion-detected hidden cameras that record, and one of the people who said they were installing them said they were installing them into Kleenex boxes. There's a
Oh my god, I didn't even see this. This is new to me.
another email from Jeffrey Epstein where he claims to need a button camera for the Sultan. Once again, highlighting that
Oh
this
my
case about
God.
Jeffrey Epstein is also a bizarre case of power. Who did this guy work for? He talks about going to an SCIF, which might be an acronym for a sensitive compartmented information facility. Later, he says that Ehud Barak is with me. You would have loved my tech meeting in the SCIF. This is an intelligence term, which is usually something you need the ability to receive
never even heard that before.
Classified information for. Although it's not clear because later Epstein says that his house is similar to an SCIF.
So he had all the blackmail in his house. Is that what he's saying?
Connection to the government is not exactly bulletproof. I don't want to give the false impression that it was. But it does raise a bunch of questions. Like Bradley Edwards, one of the victim's lawyers, actually speaks about this in his book. He said that this bodyguard had been sent by Epstein to Virginia to CIA headquarters.
What? A bodyguard? What the fuck? SCIFs are in all parts of the government? Yeah, I've just never even heard of this before.
Nervously telling me the story, the bodyguard said, I don't know why I was there, but he told me they would take care of me. I attended a class for a week.
Spell it out.
At the
Just call
beginning
it
of the class, everyone had to introduce themselves. There were 45 people. 44 were in the CIA or some other government unit with top secret clearance. I was the only private citizen.
Wow.
So clearly there's some indication, some testimony to the fact that Epstein may have had access to either classified